Greetings, how you doing? This is Adam Rafferty, funky fingerstyle guitarist from New York City. And I got a short lesson for you today about this percussive click sound that one can do on the low E string or A string. Now I did this in Superstition and a lot of people use this technique. I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of how it works. Let me just demo real quick on the groove for Superstition. You listen to when this click happens with my thumb. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, y'all know what to do. And all right. So the click I'm talking about is the one bump, 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 that click right there. Now, just to clear this up, I'm going to bend down out of camera for a second. I used to use a thumb pick, and currently, at the time of this taping, I don't. And but it doesn't matter for this sound. You don't need a thumb pick. So watch. If I do it with a thumb pick, you hear it just the same as if I do without the thumb pick. So what's making the sound? It's basically the metal string hitting the metal fret. Okay. Now, what you got to imagine is the string is a little bit tighter at the ends and looser in the middle. So if you could see it vibrating, the trajectory in the, am I really doing this with my hands? The trajectory, it'll be moving further in the middle of the string than if you go over here. So a way to make the click quieter is to come down to the bridge where you hear virtually no click. See that? I'm not going any harder. It's just looser in the middle. The reason for doing this click, the original reason I came up with it was actually not to get the click sound. It was, I knew I wanted to convey a certain kind of body rhythm as though I were dancing or just grooving, you know. And there was a certain thing that I stumbled upon with that hand coming down. Boom, 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 boom. There was a certain thing that I found where I said, wow, that's something I can hang on to. Let me see if I can make everything else in the piece fall around that in order to convey a groove. So it's kind of like if you were dancing and in a groove and you had a little clicker on a shoe. You know, the click is a byproduct of you grooving the right way, hopefully. Real quick, this click can very easily be way too loud and sound very annoying. And I learned that the hard way. So when I did the first couple years of YouTube videos, I really was bashing that click out. And because the thing is, when you're practicing, it feels really good to do it, and you're not in front of the guitar. You know, you're playing, you're clicking away, the sound's going that way. But the truth starts to come out when you put a microphone in front of the guitar and record it, and you go, oh man, it's the loudest. It's like the hi-hat or the snare drum has become the loudest thing in the band. So you've got to work on, or I've got to work on, and I'm just cluing you in what you might have to work on if you get into this. You might have to work on pulling that sound back volume-wise. And one thing that you can do is come a little closer to the bridge. Now, many people who have studied classical guitar or traditional finger picking find this thing pretty difficult. And I can totally understand that. And here's why. Because I find other things really difficult. If there's anything that I've totally dedicated to, it's the groove of a backbeat. Meaning, if we're in a funk beat, something going bap boom boom back doom boom bap boom boom bap doom doom bap boom boom bap boom boom. Or if it's a jazz beat, boom bap boom bap boom bap boom bap boom bap. And so I've kind of built my whole way of playing around this. That makes for a lot of weak spots in my playing. So this is not the holy grail of playing. There are certain things I'd like to do more clearly, but I've dedicated to that groove. So if you're not coming from that, just give yourself time to experiment with this groove. Okay, now lastly, I want to give you a couple hints on how can you play that click, which lands pretty much on beats 2 and 4. What if you have to play a note at the same time? Okay, so one thing, if the note is on the bass end, you're going to have to get your thumb away pretty quick. So, because if you land and you stay down, the string can't vibrate. Okay, now I'm right in the middle of the string over the sound hole, and we're getting way too much click, but if I go to where the string is a little bit more tight or taut, and I get my thumb right off it, I don't get it every time, and I'm trying to get it on beats 2 and 4, but you can hear that there's a little chip in the note. Okay, very important is how do you perceive of the beat? It's not just one click, boom, click. It's ba-boom, ba ba-boom, ba ba-boom, ba ba-boom, ba. Okay. Now, a trick on how to get it if you need a melody note is to just do it with the backs of your fingers, like so. This 1, 2, 3, because that'll get the placement of the note right. Again, the click, the little scratch sound is just a bonus, but if you go boom, the fact that it's a downstroke in this kind of motion, it agrees with the whole body rhythm. See, if I try to go 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, it doesn't groove as much as. Okay, so backs of the fingers or thumb coming down. So use your ears, use good taste. You might find that if you ever perform and you plug in that this sound is very loud, so just use it in good taste. I like to think of it as if I were to envision a jazz group, that it's like the drummer's hi-hat going 1, 2, 3, 4. So I try to hear it in the mix with all the other sounds that the guitar is making. So I hope that explains it, and I hope that you have a lot of fun grooving on the guitar using this technique. All right, God bless.